Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer on the human heart. Now, if you're tackling O-level biology, this is absolutely one of those cornerstone topics you just can't afford to gloss over. But here's the secret. We are not going to sit here and mindlessly memorize diagrams today. No way. Instead, we're going to focus on true understanding. We want to cement those essential facts and really master the exact exam technique that graders are hunting for. We're going to build a logical framework so no matter how they try to trick you with a question, you'll know exactly how to construct the perfect answer. Let's get into it.
All right, quick question to kick things off. Myth or fact? Do all arteries carry oxygenated blood? It's the classic trap, and honestly, it catches countless students every single year. You might be completely tempted to shout fact right now, but by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand perfectly why the answer is a resounding no. And trust me, you'll never fall for that trick again. So, here's our game plan for today. 1. Anatomy of the heart. 2. The pathway of blood. 3. Form meets function. 4. Fueling the heart muscle. And 5. Exercise and a final review. Okay, jumping straight into part 1, anatomy of the heart, the blueprint. So at its core, what actually is the heart? Well, here's your fundamental, super exam-friendly definition. The heart is a muscular organ that acts as a pump. It's basically the central engine of your circulatory system, which, by the way, also includes your blood and blood vessels. Its entire job is just to keep blood moving, right? That way, crucial substances like oxygen and glucose for energy, or waste products like carbon dioxide and urea can be transported exactly where they need to go. Need a solid definition for a test? Just remember, it's a muscular organ that pumps blood around the body. Now, what's really fascinating here is the simple set of rules governing the heart's 4 chambers. You've got 2 upper chambers, the atria, and 2 lower chambers, the ventricles. The golden rule is this: atria receive blood, ventricles pump blood out. On top of that, the right side handles deoxygenated blood and the left side handles oxygenated blood. But listen, I need to give you a massive warning right now. Diagrams will play tricks on you. Because you're looking at a heart face on, the right side of the heart is actually going to be on the left side of your paper. So always identify the left and right sides by the direction of blood flow, not by where they physically sit on the page.
Moving right along to section 2, the pathway of blood. Let's take a little micro journey.
Before we trace that path, though, we really need to address that myth from the beginning of our explainer. The absolutely crucial point you need to know is that arteries and veins are defined by the direction of blood flow, not by how much oxygen they have. Think of it like this. Artery starts with A, right? So artery equals away from the heart. Vein means towards the heart. This is exactly why the pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away to the lungs, and the pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood back to the heart. Nail this rule down, and you bypass one of the biggest student errors out there. Let's see how this builds our understanding of the 4 major blood vessels you absolutely have to memorize. First up, the vena cava. It brings deoxygenated blood from the body straight into the right atrium. Next, the pulmonary artery takes that deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle away to the lungs. Once it's loaded up with oxygen, the pulmonary vein brings it from the lungs back into the left atrium. And finally, the aorta takes that fresh, oxygenated blood from the left ventricle and blasts it out to the rest of the body. I know, that can feel like a lot of heavy terminology all at once. To stop your brain from overloading, let's use a super simple 5-step memory trick. Just think: body, right side, lungs, left side, body. Deoxygenated blood comes from the body, goes to the right side, and out to the lungs. Then, oxygenated blood comes from the lungs, goes into the left side, and out to the body. This incredibly straightforward framework will let you reconstruct the entire complicated sequence right there in the middle of your exam. Let's put that framework to the test right now with an active recall challenge pulled straight from a past paper. Mentally arrange these structures into the correct sequence of blood flow, starting from the blood returning from the body. Using our trick, it goes vena cava, into the right atrium, down to the right ventricle, out the pulmonary artery, over to the lungs, back via the pulmonary vein, into the left atrium, down to the left ventricle, and finally out the aorta. If you tracked with that, you are in fantastic shape. All right, section 3, form meets function. Why exactly is it built this way? If you look closely at the physical structure of the heart, you'll notice a massive difference between the chambers, and this brings us to a wildly common exam question. Why is the wall of the left ventricle so much thicker than the wall of the right ventricle? Now, don't just say because it holds oxygenated blood. That's a half answer, and it's definitely going to lose you marks. So here is how you build a brilliant exam-winning explanation. It's all about cause and effect. Step 1. The left ventricle has to pump blood to your entire body, while the right ventricle only pumps to the nearby lungs. Step 2. That whole body journey means a much greater distance and therefore way more resistance. Step 3. To overcome that resistance, a significantly higher pressure is needed. And step 4. Therefore, a thicker muscular wall is required to physically generate that high pressure. Connect the physical distance to the required pressure and boom, you secure full marks. Another absolutely crucial aspect of the heart's form is its valves. Their one and only function is to prevent the backflow of blood, ensuring it only travels in a single direction. We need to bust another persistent myth right here, right now. Valves do not pump blood. The muscular walls of the heart do the pumping. The valves are literally just security gates that slam shut to keep the traffic flowing one way. Which brings us to Section 4, Fueling the Heart Muscle, Disease, and Mechanics. Remember, the heart itself is a constantly working, living muscle. It can't just passively absorb oxygen from the blood that's splashing around inside its chambers. It needs its own dedicated fuel line to keep contracting. And this is exactly the job of the coronary arteries. Sitting right there on the surface of the heart, they supply the cardiac muscle with the oxygenated blood and glucose it needs for continuous aerobic respiration and energy release. But what happens when that vital fuel line gets blocked? Let's break down the cause and effect cascade of coronary heart disease. We'll use smoking as a prime example here. Smoking damages the artery walls, which encourages fatty deposits to form. These deposits lead to narrower arteries, which obviously results in reduced blood flow. Because of that, less oxygen actually reaches the heart muscle. In the short term, this causes chest pain. But in the case of a complete blockage, it leads to a heart attack, simply because the muscle is starved of oxygen. Now, coronary heart disease isn't just linked to smoking. Examiners love to ask you to list other lifestyle and genetic factors. Beyond smoking, the major risk factors are an unhealthy diet, high blood cholesterol, a lack of exercise, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and unfortunately, unavoidable genetic factors. Having 3 or 4 of these locked in your memory is absolutely essential for these applied biology questions. All right, the final stretch, Section 5, Exercise and Final Review. A classic exam setup will give you data on a person's heart rate while running and ask you to explain the increase. The precise scientific way to phrase your answer relies on a perfect supply and demand equation. It goes like this. During exercise, your muscles respire more rapidly to release extra energy. Therefore, your heart rate increases to supply these active muscles with more oxygen and glucose. And, just as importantly, it increases to rapidly remove the excess carbon dioxide being produced. Okay, let's quickly run through the biggest traps that cost students easy marks. First, do not assume all arteries are oxygenated. Remember the pulmonary artery. Second, never state that valves pump blood. They just prevent backflow. Third, avoid giving incomplete answers about the left ventricle's thickness. Always link the whole body distance to the need for high pressure. And finally, avoid vague answers about exercise. Use specific terms like aerobic respiration, glucose, and carbon dioxide. Precise phrasing is everything here. Ready for a rapid-fire check? Let's test your attention of the physical map we built earlier. 2 quick questions for you. First, which specific chamber pumps blood to the lungs? And second, which specific vessel brings deoxygenated blood from the body back to the heart? Let's see how you did. The right ventricle is the chamber responsible for pumping blood that short distance to the lungs. And the vena cava is the massive vein bringing deoxygenated blood from the rest of the body right back into the right atrium. If you nailed those, you are well on your way to mastering this topic. I want to leave you with this final thought. Don't just memorize the answer. Understand the reason behind it. The heart isn't just some diagram to stare at. It's a wonderfully logical machine. If you understand the why, like why the left wall is thicker, why the valves are there, why the vessels are named what they are, then memorizing the what becomes completely effortless. Apply this logic-first mindset to all your studies. And honestly, it makes you wonder, if the heart is engineered this perfectly, what other brilliant logic-driven machines are hiding inside the human body, just waiting for you to discover them?